We good to go? Everybody ready? Everybody ready?
We good?
Okay, cool. We're on the air.
Good evening. My name is Chris Beeman. I'm a captain with the Pasco Sheriff's Office Major Crimes Division. We're here this evening for another instance, another example of our deputies having to make split-second decisions, and another instance where our deputies have to face potentially life-threatening decisions and harmful decisions. This evening at approximately 7:40 p.m., two of our deputies are near the intersection here of US 19 and Gulf Drive. They encounter a gentleman walking down the street of US 19 armed with what they believed was a firearm. To give you a little perspective, this gentleman had made 2 phone calls preliminarily, it's our belief, that got transferred to the Newport Richey Police Department. At least one of them at this point, he indicated that he was homicidal. So our deputies encounter him walking down the street. At this point, we don't know that they're aware. We don't believe that they're aware of these phone calls, but they see him walking down the street with a firearm and they engage him. For approximately 1 minute, they tried to talk him into dropping the gun, putting the gun down, and he ultimately does not do that. He backs himself up to this business over here on US 19, and this is where the verbal communication is being exchanged between the deputies and this gentleman. Approximately 1 minute in, he abruptly raises this firearm at the deputies and firing 2 times, subsequently hitting one of the deputies on him, hitting him. Right now, we have learned that the firearm that this gentleman had was either a BB or a pellet gun, but when he raised the firearm at the deputies abruptly and fired the rounds, they too fired back, striking him multiple times. At this time, I don't have an exact count, nor do I know exactly how many times the deputies fired. All I can tell you is that it was several times. They fire, hitting him several times. At this point, we do definitely know that he was hit in the lower extremities, potentially in the legs, and they begin to render aid at this point. Right now, the deputies and this subject are at the hospital seeking treatment, and I'm told at this point that they're all non-life-threatening injuries. Of course, the deputies, again, we found it to be a pellet gun, so they have some marks and so forth, but nothing significant like the gentleman who was shot. At this point, we're waiting to make some notifications, so due to the fact that we're kind of in the preliminary stages of the investigation, we are releasing that this gentleman is a white gentleman, approximately 36 years old. The deputies, one was in field training, and the other is a 7-year veteran training officer with the Sheriff's Office.
What type of calls went in? You said Newport Richey Police took?
At this point, it's our belief that there were 2 911 calls.
And they were made by him or?
That's our belief, yes, ma'am.
Captain, was he actually walking in the road or on the median here? You said in the road.
We're still trying to determine that. I believe that he was walking on the sidewalk when the deputies encounter him.
And you mentioned a business. Was it the Enterprise, or are we looking at across the street there?
Yeah, across the street behind me.
Like Elite Galleries or whatever it's in.
Yes, sir.
And both deputies were hit by the pellet gun?
No, sir, just one to my knowledge at this point.
How realistic looking is this gun that we're talking about?
I'm told that it is a black firearm that looks no different than potentially something that we carry.
So they had no idea if it was real or fake at the time?
Correct. Just another circumstances where they're put in harmful situation, they have to make a split-second decision. They definitely showed constraint in the sense that they try to talk him in dropping this gun and the gun out of his hands for approximately a minute before he made the decision, and therefore subsequently making the deputies make the decision to return fire.
Would you call this like suicide by law enforcement? What he was trying to do?
Being in law enforcement, I can only assume that most people know if you point a firearm or something that looks like a firearm at a law enforcement officer, they're probably going to return fire, so I won't speculate, but...
But the statement that he was homicidal, is that directed at other people or homicidal towards himself?
I don't know that we know the context other than him to say that he was homicidal.
It's pretty lucky he's not dead tonight. You got 2 deputies firing at him. It's touch and go.
I would say so, yes.
Do you know if he has any criminal history?
He does have several convictions, most of which I believe date back to 2012. For simple batteries, domestic batteries, I think there may be a theft charge in there as well.
Not a stranger.
Doesn't seem that way.
And this pellet gun, is it multiple? Can you fire multiple times?
Since I'm told that the deputies were hit twice, or the deputy, I should say, was hit twice, I would say yes.
And he's gonna be all right. He has some injuries to his leg. That's about it.
That's our indication at this point, yes, sir.
Does it sound like a real gun?
I'm not certain.
Which deputy was hit, the 7-year veteran or the one in training?
It's my understanding that the one in training.
I noticed Highway 19 is closed. It's gonna be like this for a while.
Yes, for at least the southbound lanes between Cross Bayou and Gulf Drive. I believe they're rerouting traffic at the Cross Bayou intersection. So south of there, or at least between those two intersections, Gulf and Cross Bayou, will be closed down for some time as we process the scene.
And standard procedure for them to be on administrative leave and all that kind of stuff?
Yes, sir.
Outside agency coming in to look too?
At this point, no, sir.
Are there any other witnesses that saw what happened?
We're still trying to gather all the witnesses. I believe there are definitely some that saw it and so forth.
At any time, was the public in danger from the gun shooting, or were they shooting it toward the building?
We're still trying to determine angles, but there were multiple shots fired. So anytime there is gunfire, there's always the potential of people to be hurt. But as of now, other than the subject who pointed the firearm at our deputy, no one's significantly hurt. Ready?
Any more questions? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to be asking.